Getting ready to go out of town.
I'm sorry, Paula, say that one more time.
Getting ready to go out of town for about 3 weeks. So
Oh,
I might miss the first meeting this month.
well, it's going to be on Zoom. Are you going to be able to access
I don't
the
know.
internet?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going to visit a bunch of national parks. So
Oh,
I might be out of range.
well, that's true. The internet connection in national parks is not that much of a priority. So,
And I didn't know. It just something came up yesterday. So I think I'm going to.
yeah. Well, just know that if after we're done tonight, you really do want to be part of it, it's okay to jump in and, join in the second month. You just would need to keep up with the reading so that you could sync up with us. You got the book.
You got the book.
You're
Way ahead
set
of
to
the rest.
go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We might have we have two more people that are due to come in, and we'll if they do, then they'll be here with us. So let me just introduce open up the recording here and thank everybody for coming in today to our gathering about our upcoming Hermetic Qabalah self-study book discussion group. Today is June 3rd, 2020. I'm Laura Abernathy, the founder of the Tree of Life Sanctuary, and I'm here with Emma Delisle, who is part of the Hermetic Qabalah self-study group, and we have another person that's going to be joining us hopefully tonight who's also in that group. And the main thing I wanted to do tonight was just make some space for everybody that saw what we're offering to ask questions, share why they're curious about this book, about Kabbalah, anything in that vein, and then we'll go into details. Or if you want to just jump into questions right away, that's okay too. But just a little bit of history about this group. And since I'm going to be talking a lot, I'm going to have to drink a lot of water. Hopefully I won't be talking very much after the first 5 minutes here. But the Hermetic Qabalah Self-Study Group was born back in June of 2016 at the request of a Tree of Life Sanctuary colleague who is right now not able to be in the group, but is still connected, of course, energetically. Once you become part of this group, you're energetically, you're always part of it, because we really do create a vessel for sacredness to happen. We hold sacred space. And, the Tree of Life Sanctuary is very much about inclusiveness, about love, about uncovering the divine in everybody, in each of us. In particular, we focus on spiritual seekers because these types of people are really looking. They already have a sense that that's how things are, and so they're ready to start doing that uncovering within themselves. So we started out the group with a requirement of going through the Introduction to Hermetic Qabalah class that I have taught for many years. It's a couple-hour class. And then recently, because of the pandemic, excuse me, we couldn't meet in person anymore. We were meeting in person with a Zoom connection because not everybody in the group is local. But with the pandemic situation, none of us could get together in person. And so we decided to just, hey, this is an opportunity to open it up to people who aren't physically able to be here and expand that part of the group, the participation in the group that's beyond Bellingham area. And we thought, well, what would be a good way to do this? And the ideas, we just threw some ideas around. And then it was actually Emma who came up with the idea of this book being a topic to launch this Hermetic Qabalah self-study group online. So that's what we ended up deciding. This is what we're going to do. And the other thing that is really awesome about this group is that from the very beginning, it has always been a donation-based experience. We do have a suggested range of donations from $15 up to $50 per month. However, truly, it's a donation. If a person can only donate $5, that we're totally happy with that. All the money just goes to keeping the Tree of Life Sanctuary going operation-wise. I don't take any money from this. It's all for the school. And these times right now, that's really what fits for people's finances. There's a lot of people who are in circumstances where they may be on unemployment, but it's not necessarily taking care of all their needs like their work was before. You name it. You know, there's a lot of reasons why this kind of thing would be very valuable right now. So with that, let me just open up the floor to questions that Paula and Leah may have about what this is about. Talk about what it is that makes you curious about it. Paula already shared something, but let's just go with the flow and see what the two of you have that you want to ask about.
Well, this might be a stupid question.
It's all right. We like them all.
But you said you called it the like the Hermetic Qabalah, and I studied Hermetics. You know, I read the Kabbalion, you know, when I was a young teenager, and me, it just kind of explained the laws of the universe. It was great.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there it was. And once you know that, then everything else just kind of falls in there. So what does it have to do with the Kabbalah?
Well, Hermetic Qabalah is Kabbalah means in Hebrew is to receive. So Kabbalah is just a system of organizing these truths that you read in the Kabbalah. Oh, here comes another person. Hold on. Hello, Marcia. Her audio's connecting. Hello, Marcia. Can you hear us?
Yes. Hello.
Okay.
Hi, Marcia.
Welcome. We have, Marcia is part of the Hermetic Qabalah self-study group. And we have Leah Murray here tonight, who's also in the Spiritual Satisfaction Program. And Paula Forget, who is a Bellingham spiritual community person. And she's an author and has donated her book to our library.
And she came to our open house too, and
yes,
to other events as well.
Yes, yes. And we have one other person that might jump in who signed up, but we've already started the recording and we're just going to keep going. And right now we're in question mode. So Paula was asking about what does it have to do with the Hermetics when we say Hermetic Qabalah. The thing that makes it Hermetic Qabalah is that it is always expanding and evolving. In the sense of the Kabbalion, you'll remember about how it references many times about the importance of allowing life to unfold into new forms of itself, so to speak. And the Hermetic Qabalah is different from other Kabbalahs. There's actually 3 lineages of Kabbalah. And the 3 lineages are Judaic Kabbalah, and that's Kabbalah spelled with a K, typically. There's Christian Kabbalah, and that's Kabbalah spelled with a C. And then there's Hermetic Qabalah, and that's usually when Kabbalah is spelled with a Q. And the difference between, oh, excuse me, all three of those lineages also call Kabbalah the tree of life. But the difference between the lineages is will help you really understand why it's called Hermetic Qabalah. The mother lineage is the Judaic Kabbalah with a K, and meaning that the Jews were the ones, the Hebrews were the ones that were able to receive this information and contain it and hold it through history, even when it had to go underground. And then in the early 1900s through the 1960s, I'm just summarizing real big time here, there was a resurgence of Judaic Kabbalah, and it was safe again for it to be public. And it was during that period of time when the Christian Kabbalah branched off. That's when the lineage of Christian Kabbalah branched off. And that showed up mostly in organizations like the Masons and Freemasons or just the Masons, all, you know, in Britain and in North America. And the lineage of Hermetic Qabalah started showing up just about that same time. And that one was primarily showing up in what's called mystery schools or schools of initiation. And they all are valid. They all are addressing the same learning. It's just in a different pattern of spirituality. Judaic Kabbalah is very focused on using studying the sacred texts, the Torah, the Sefer Yetzirah, things like that. They also do incorporate astrology, but that's where they stop. Anything beyond those realms of study for Kabbalah, for them, is forbidden. And also in the beginning, they only allowed men to study it.
Yeah, it's very patriarchal.
Yeah. And then the Christian Kabbalah is very westernized. However, what they did is they took the information of Kabbalah and integrated it into the Christian
Iconography.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Iconography. And thanks, Emma. And it was very centered around Jesus, and yet still addressing that God is all. And then Hermetic Qabalah is all of that. It's a blend of both the mother lineage of Judaic Kabbalah with the Christian Kabbalah, and added into that an openness of applying to all paths. Everything in the Tree of Life will apply to every belief system that we have on the planet. And of course, from the beginning, Hermetic Qabalah allowed women. So that's basically why I came into it, because at the time I started studying Kabbalah, I didn't even know about it until I was 18. And at that time, it was really the only lineage of Kabbalah that women could study. So that's where I ended up. Does that answer it,
Yeah.
Paula?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's not a stupid question. It was very elucidating.
It was important information.
Yeah, yeah. So, Leah, any questions that you have just to start off right off the bat?
Not now, because at first I was a little confused because I don't know much about Kabbalah at all.
Okay.
Somebody mentioned it to me years ago and said that it was the study of mysticism in the Judeo-Christian world.
Yeah.
And So I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. I should find out more about that.
Yeah.
But of course, I never got the opportunity or got around to it, or not till now.
Yeah.
So and then I saw this and I thought, I'm going to go find out a little more.
Okay. Okay, great. Awesome. So I'm hearing you say that your curiosity was piqued before because of the mysticism aspect of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess I hadn't realized up to that point that I hadn't made the connection between spirituality and mysticism.
Okay.
Okay, so when that person said that to me, whenever it was, it suddenly clicked in, you know what? There's more to this whole thing than meets the eye, and I'm curious.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. Got it. So how about if Emma and Marcia share a little bit about your experience with this Hermetic Qabalah self-study group?
Okay. Did you want me to go first, Marcia, or would you like to go first?
No, you can go first.
Okay. Actually, I got into this, Tree of Life Sanctuary because I'd gone to a meeting with a neighbor of Laura's, and she was talking or giving a lecture about sort of the evolution of humankind. And that really piqued my interest. And then I did the spiritual satisfaction program, like Leah, and got more and more involved. It definitely, I'm attracted to doing the Tree of Life, working the paths, so to speak, because of what I come from in my own personal background. And I felt like the Tree of Life was a clarification or a frame of reference in which to further my spirituality. And so why we decided to study the Hermetic Qabalah in the self-study group was it was more of an open forum for us to learn more about it, learn more of what the Tree of Life is, learn about the Sephiras, learn about the pathways, learn about how the Tarot is connected to that. And one of the devices that we've been using when we were doing our meeting in person was we had a deck of cards that actually clarified, all the different paths in the Sephira. And so we would choose randomly or intuitively, we would pick a card each month to focus on and to focus our energies on, and discuss after a month to come back and say what our experiences were and how that path or that Sephira impacted our lives and what it meant to us. And so the past couple of years we've been doing that until COVID-19 happened and we couldn't meet in person anymore, and it became clear that we needed to meet in this sort of aspect of doing Zoom, which has been really helpful since we're not all in one location or cannot easily access being at the actual physical Tree of Life sanctuary. And so I'm really excited about doing the path working because it's actually continuing on, educating all of us about the Tree of Life, because that's what this book is all about. So that's why I'm here.
And Emma, would you be willing to share like just one little tidbit about what you have learned from studying the Tree of Life?
What I have learned. I guess what I find very fascinating about the Tree of Life is that it actually is a map of the universe. It's a map of how creation happened. And not only am I very interested in spirituality, but at what time I wanted to become an astronomer. And so I'm, you know, very interested in the universe and physics. And, you know, studying metaphysics, which is not exactly physics, but is a science, is, I find that it all meshes together, and that the tree of life is really the picture of how that comes to be. And so I find that, you know, everyday life, all of these things come into play, and on your spiritual journey, you know, that this is a guide, and that, you know, one of the things that you'll learn with this is that, you know, you see this one tree of life, but as you ascend, I guess, or work the paths, it actually goes to the next tree of life. It's multifaceted and multidimensional.
Yeah.
So, and that's really wonderful, because, you know, as you live your lives, you can continue to work the paths.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. How about you, Marcia? What would you like to share about your experience with the group?
Well, I mean, I kind of came to Tree of Life Sanctuary start with through Laura's participation in the coaching group. Was just kind of fascinated, I guess, by what Tree of Life Sanctuary was all about. And I am kind of very eclectic in my spiritual processes. I've, you know, done a little witchcraft, done a little Buddha, done a little Christian, done a little Catholicism, done a little Mormon. I mean, I've dipped and paraded around a lot of different faiths and approaches to spirituality. But none of them were all-encompassing, which with the Tree of Life and Kabbalah, I found the whole picture, not just like the slice. Because even though many of those other pathways have depth, they don't, as Emma was just saying, they don't have that same approach to complexity. Simpleness, but complexity, and having so many multiple dimensions that you can kind of embrace all in one time. So it's really, for me, it was kind of like, wow, this is totally awesome to see that there's this really grand picture, and everything that I've learned and all those other things, all those other pursuits, has fit well within the structure of the Tree of Life. So so that's part of the reason why I am happy to be pursuing and learning more about it.
Beautiful. Thank you.
It's fun too.
Oh yeah, that part.
We do have a lot of fun together, and it's fun, you know, the camaraderie and the sharing. You know, we've had a small group, but a very enjoyable group of people who have participated with us, and it's developed deep friendships. So
yes, there's that part. There's that part of it. But yes, yeah. And of course, both, I'm sure, Paula and Leah, you get that. You've experienced that with other groups you've been involved in, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me just read a couple lines out of the introduction from the book. This cover, the cover is shown here on the screen. I want to mention too, before I read out of it, that this book is actually Ted Andrews' second book on Kabbalah. He wrote a first book called, I have trouble remembering it. I have to look it up. Simplified Kabbalah Magic is the name of the first book. And that one is, from what I understand, I haven't read that one, is pretty basic information. This one, he says, carries over a lot of the basic information about the tree itself, and then adds more meat to it, so to speak. There's exercises in this book. There's just a lot of, expansion on the tree that was not in the first one. So this one is, I know, Paula, you've already got the book and you can see the table of contents, but in just reviewing the table of contents, it focuses on the Kabbalah overall, the mystical Kabbalah overall in the first part of the book. It talks about entering the tree of life, the temple of knowledge, symbols, images, and the magical body. The second one, it focuses on the paths, the 22 paths of wisdom. And then the third part of the book covers working those paths, utilizing the information to go into and work within other dimensions. And then the fourth part of the book, he calls it the Holy of Holies. That's where he's taking it more into the level of initiates work. And that's about the responsibility of what you are developing within yourself, of the knowledge and the power that you are actually tapping into, and the importance of grounding and protecting yourself, and validating your experience, making sure, not taking anything as truth until you test it for yourself. And that's the essence of the book. There's some appendixes, which are always helpful. But let me just read a little bit from the introduction. The purpose of spiritual studies is not psychic power, but the ability to look beyond the physical limitations, to learn the creative possibilities that exist within limitations, while at the same time transcending them. Its purpose is to help us rediscover the wonder, awe, and power of the divine, and to learn how that power reveals and reflects itself within us. And then he talks about, even when this innate ability is recognized, there is still needed an effective system or means to release it. And that's part of why there's structure involved in this. And then the last thing I want to mention from the book, he says, not from books or from teachers, including me, although they serve their purposes, but from the well of truth that lies within us. This is where our answers lie. Rather than searching for some light to shine down upon us, the Kabbalah guides us to the light within us, to shine out from us. I love how he says that. That's what this is all about. This is what he just talked about, is why I'm so passionate about sharing Kabbalah and continuing to teach it. And one of the things I really love about Hermetic Qabalah is that it is an evolving form of Kabbalah. It always wants to adapt to the methods of the time in terms of training and passing on the wisdom, as opposed to it being locked down into a certain structure forever. It can't change. Hermetic Qabalah is all about evolution and keeping up with it. So what comes to mind now? What questions do you have now?
I keep seeing that diagram that you have on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Well, you'll see how they're both pretty much the same thing, just different expression or different stretching of it. These diagrams that you're seeing is the tree of life. It's called the tree of life. And what that is if the structure, it's like the skeleton that all the information about life on the physical earth and the other dimensions that we have access to. Earth is that bottom sphere. It says kingdom on the one that has the words on it.
Mm-hmm.
Not the book cover, but the other. By the way, I want to give credit that artwork of the tree that has the black background is from a school of the soul called Builders of the Adytum. BOTA is their acronym, and they're based in Los Angeles, and they've been in existence since the 1930s, I believe, 1930s or 40s. And so the sphere at the bottom, Leah, if that represents planet Earth, all of these paths, there's 3 paths that exit out of planet Earth there, the physical plane of existence. They're connecting to other spheres above, and there's the network of paths connecting amongst the spheres. And jumping all the way to the top where it's got that bright white one that says crown, that sphere at the top represents the doorway to source, which is what I call the word I use to describe God, or the universal force, whatever people want to call it, it doesn't matter. But it's not God itself, it's the doorway to source, where everything is, where all potential exists. That's what that represents. And then the bottom Sephra, which is what those spheres are called, is one of the creations that has come through that portal of source. So all of Earth is a creation that has manifested and come down the tree onto the planet. And that's just a big picture description of it. There's a lot of different ways that can be applied to lessons for individuals living on Earth. For example, when we do a vision board, for example, we are co-creating with Source to bring that vision down into the physical plane. So that's a map of how things come down into the physical realm. And then in reverse, what the tree offers for souls that are here to do it. Not everybody is here to do this, but it's also a map for souls to return back up, travel back up the tree and experience that portal to source while still being in the human being physical form. So it's a way to experience what some call the face of God without having to die to do it. We can have that experience before we die from the physical body. So that's what that diagram is about, Leah. Does that help? Does that answer it?
It does.
Okay.
Yes, it does, because I keep seeing it sort of popping up in different places now, and I was like, okay, it must mean something important, so what is it?
Yep, that's a tree of life. That's what it's called. And
what's going to be helpful is that's what the book is going to, show us.
Yeah, it's going to take us through one level of understanding of the tree. And I also want to mention that in terms of this diagram, all 3 lineages of Kabbalah have a diagram. They're all all 3 are very much like this one. There is a little difference between this one and the Hermetic diagram here and the Judaic diagram. And that may or may not show up in this book, but it's very similar, very, very close. but for thousands of years, this diagram has existed. And actually, Hermetic Qabalah is of the three paths, is the path of Kabbalah that brings that out right away in the teaching. In Judaic Kabbalah and Christian Kabbalah, there's a whole lot more philosophy that people need to go through before they're presented with the diagram and what we just talked about. So, you know, there's a right lineage for every person that's drawn to Kabbalah. One's not better than the other. It's just this one is designed for people who are ready to grab the reins and, you know, get on the horse.
Yeah.
Good question. Thank you. So we have about 10 minutes. Would you like me to talk at all about, well, I think I've already shared the date. The next one, because the book is, you know, I went through the book, estimated the number of pages in there, and we will begin the first session of the book discussion on June 27th. And so between, if you were to join, you would need to get the book and read the pages that cover the introduction and chapter 1, which is about 36 pages or so. And so that's about how many pages we're aiming to cover each month. And if we continue at that pace, it looks like we would be finished with it by, I have it in the Eventbrite description right now. I can't remember. I think it's in, it might be June. I can't remember, I'm sorry, but it's several months. And it's not too much, you know, at a time, which allows for us to just really have, each time we meet for 2 hours, it gives us plenty of time in that 2 hours to cover a good amount of material, and it's not going to be overwhelming is what I'm getting at. And it's also important to know that if you decide you want to give it a shot, but you're still not 100% sure, it's totally understandable. You can join in and start up with us. And if after a few, 2 or 3 months, or at any time, that you feel, no, this is really what I'm looking for, or it's just not the right time for me, you know, you are your own best guide. It's okay to just say, you know, so long you guys, I'll catch up with you another time. Or let me know when the next book comes up. Maybe that one will be better for me. It's okay to do that.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of specific. It might be a little
Yeah.
off to the side here, but
It's okay.
I ran into this not long ago, and I don't know where I got this idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know the card of the Fool?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the first card of the deck or the last one?
The Fool is, I'm not quite sure what you mean by is it in the tarot deck are you referring to?
Yeah.
Well,
The zero.
yeah.
Is it a 10 or is it a 0?
The Fool card is 0.
So is it the first before the Magician, or is it?
It's before the Magician.
Okay.
Yeah, and that on the Tree of Life is the path between the crown and the wisdom spheres or sephras. And both the Magician card and the Fool card are the 2 cards that 2 of the 3 cards that connect directly to the crown sephra, and that reflects that we are both the essence of creation, which is the Fool, very much in the flow of what is they're inspired by, and trusting what they're being guided, where they're being guided to, for period, however. And the Magician is the reflection of that we are co-creators with Source. So the Fool and the Magician are the two upper panels giving the two sides of structure. The third path that's connected to the crown source, crown Sephra, is the High Priestess. That goes right down the center. That's the feminine energy. It's the connection between the center Sephra, it's called beauty, and source. So that is much more about the inner experience of source, the surrender to source, very much feminine energy, which is all about receiving. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you, because I had always thought that, first was the Fool. It's like you're starting a new cycle. You're starting a new cycle, and whatever it is that you're thinking about. And let's say you're starting a new cycle.
Yep.
And to me, it was always, you start off with first you get the idea, like the inspiration, and that's the Fool.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you have the Magician, who has all of his tools. This
there
is
you go.
all your past experience that you're bringing into this new cycle. And,
got it.
And just recently, I don't know where it was that I saw that, and they were saying that, oh, the Fool is like the last card. And I thought, well, yes and no. To me, I think it's the universe is the last card.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly, this kind of discussion around how it relates to the tree and the process of creation and manifestation is totally explanatory behind the Fool card.
Yeah.
Because yes, the Fool is the beginning. It's the direct inspiration from source into it's our life purpose, so to speak, what we came here to experience and be. Or who we came here to experience and be. And then, at the final card is the final card, trump card or major arcana of the tarot. That is the coming together of everything. And then that releases into the physical realm to be reabsorbed into the kingdom, the earth sphere at the bottom is the place of reabsorption of things. That's what the earth element is about, so that it can spring anew through source back through the Fool again. So yes, the Fool is at the beginning and the end, but it's holding that same place.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how the Kabbalah informs an understanding of the tarot. So your intuition and what you've been how you've been interpreting it, Paula, is aligned with what Kabbalah says about it.
Yeah. Oh, this
good
is
question.
So exciting.
Yeah.
This is really great stuff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. For us tarot and Kabbalah nerds. Yeah. Good question. Thank you. That's another really important point for anybody that might end up watching this recording. If your interest is primarily tarot, you're going to benefit from studying the Kabbalah, because it makes it's like all the pieces fit better. That Shiro's journey through the tree, beginning with the Fool and ending with the last card, it all makes sense once you get what the Kabbalah is about, what it says. So anything else? We got just about 3 or 4 minutes left.
What time is it on the Sunday?
It's a Saturday, June 27th, and it starts at 1 o'clock and we go to 3 o'clock.
Oh, it's a Saturday. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's always the fourth Saturday from 1 to 3, with the exception of times when there is a need to change it, you know. If there's times when that happens, so. But we do our best to stick to the 4th Saturday, 1 to 3.
Except for
So,
November.
so Marcia, were you going to say something?
I said, except for November.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the
And it's right.
holidays kind of
Yeah.
interfere with.
That's an example. That's an example, yeah. So we all, whenever we see that's coming the next month, we talk before we close and figure out what date we want to meet the next time. Yeah. So all's I need to know is if you want to participate in this book group, you just need to send me an email at info@treeoflifesanctuary.org and just put in the subject line, I'd like to try out the Kabbalah book group, and I'll be sure and include you in the Zoom link for joining into that group. And then you got to get the book in whatever form you prefer, and just read through the introduction in chapter 1, and you'll be ready for that date on June 27th. Okay?
Right.
Yes. And also, if you know of anybody that might be interested in this, that may not have been aware that we were holding this info session, please let me know, and I can send them a link to this. I'll probably put this on YouTube, and then they can check it out for themselves. And of course, the sooner the better, because we want to give people plenty of time to get the book and read up before that date. All right.
Hey,
So does everybody feel complete? They got what they needed for tonight?
yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Good.
All right. Bless you all. Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.